These are my favorite books of 2019. I read 33 books in 2019. Some of those were manga, some of them were fiction, most of them were fantasy, and a lot of them were about internet analysis. First book is Naamah's Kiss. This is the 8th book in the Kushiel's Legacy series. I have this thing about autographed copies of things. I cannot not buy the autographed copy. So I have an autographed copy of this book and an autographed copy of this absolutely terrible book that I found on the street. I find a lot of books on the street, y'all. The thing about the Kushiel's series is that it is so huge. My roommate got me into it when we first moved into this apartment, and I have been tearing through these ever since. The first one follows Phaedra, the second one follows Imriel, and this one follows Moiren. The third book in the series follows maybe a generation or two after the second trilogy, and you follow Moiren. I talked a little bit about the Kushiel series in the Queen of the Conquered video. There is this magic system around the different types of sexuality in the world. So it is a fantasy that almost completely revolves around sex. So that's my favorite. This one is following Moiren, who is able to... This one follows Moiren, who is able to coax nature into helping her. She can also go into this kind of shadow realm that makes her invisible to average people. As she's journeying around the globe, you hear about all of these legends that started in the first book and continued and evolved through the second book, and everything just comes full circle. And I think that this is my Harry Potter. Like, I was kind of just tired of reading, and then my roommate told me about the Kushiel series and I've been eating it up. This is my Hogwarts. Real happy with this for 2019. Second book. I absolutely love Yona of the Dawn. The story follows Yona, who is a princess. Her kingdom is overthrown by her crush, who becomes the king, and she is exiled and they believe her to be dead. However, she is not dead. This dude saved her life, and so those two set off on a quest to find enough soldiers, firepower, and reinforcements to take back their kingdom. It is a super good book. It's a harem. There are these legendary soldiers called the dragons, who are hot guys, as all manga harem men are. They have superpowers, and these hot guys join their cause, rescuing smaller villages from the plights that the kingdom has wrought on them, and they slowly gain more and more of a reputation until they're powerful enough to potentially take down the crush Suwon and take back the kingdom. Blew through the anime, and then I had to keep going. I am on volume 29. It's awesome. If you love romance and historical fiction, basically this guy and the Kushiel's series are very much alike. You're not gonna get sexy things in this because it's a manga, and in romance manga they have this thing where they like look lovingly into each other's eyes for like 75 volumes, and then by the 76th volume maybe they'll hold hands. So that's that. I just love historical magical romance, y'all. I just do. Next one. I'm slowly making my way through the Discworld series. I was trying to do these in order, but I couldn't find the one I needed from the bookstore, so I just got the only one that I hadn't read yet. That one is Reaper Man, which was surprisingly deep. Like, Terry Pratchett is really deep. Like, he writes a lot of comedy. Like, he's really funny and goofy, and I love him, but he is also deep. I have never had a bad time with Terry Pratchett's books. Like, he just has like the most deadpan and ridiculous. Every single scene is just something that I don't expect anyone to ever write or publish. It's just like, really, man? So we have the cities, big sedentary creatures growing from one spot and hardly moving at all for thousands of years. They breed by sending out people to colonize new land. They themselves just lie there. They're alive, but only in the same way that a jellyfish is alive, or a fairly bright vegetable. After all, we call Ankh-Morpork the big wahuni. And where you get big, slow-living things, you get small, fast things that eat them. Wendell Poons felt the brain cells firing. Connections were made. Thought gushed along new channels. Had he ever really thought properly when he was alive? He doubted it. He'd just been a lot of complicated reactions attached to a lot of nerve endings, with everything from idle rumination about the next meal to random distracting memories getting between him and real thought. It'd grow inside the city where it's warm and protective, and then it'd break out outside the city and build something, not a real city, a false city, that pulls people, the life, out of the post. The word we're looking for here is predator. Y'all, the antagonist in this book is a city that makes new cities. You can't make this shit up. Like, I don't understand why I just love how he just does whatever the hell he wants and it works. Next. A lot of people read this book in 2019, and I think that really says something about where we are as a society. How to do nothing. There are so many self-help books about how to stop yourself from doing social media and how to unplug, how to be in the moment and all of that. But How to Do Nothing by Jenny Odell. This one doesn't just talk about what you should be doing less of. You already know that you're probably on social media a little bit too much, but this one kind of talks about the context collapse that we experience when we're on Twitter, when we're on Facebook, and we're just scrolling through, and the sense of dread that comes up when you have too much or you're overstimulated by the amount of information and data that you are processing through your brain. And this book talks about the repercussions that happen. It also talks about bioregionalism, paying attention to your surroundings and to your environment and your immediate community, and how your experiences in your immediate community can help protect yourself from overstimulation. It talks about something that's near and dear to my heart as a millennial, productivity and the constant need to be productive at all hours of the day. I recorded this between the Christmas and New Year holidays. The first day off that I had, I was absolutely distraught. Millennials need to be productive. We became adults at a time when nothing was certain. Like, I was working my ass off from 2009 to 2014 just to be able to afford stable housing. Once I got to a point where I was stable, I still could not make myself relax. Because this is the life that we're living, How to Do Nothing is fantastic. And it told me some really cute facts about birding. Yeah, this book got me into birding. They're just like, hey, slow down. Just look at some birds. Learn about their bird calls. Relax. It's also based where I live here in the Bay Area. And she talks about all of the different places where you can listen to bird calls. I talked about this one in a previous video. Queen of the Conquered. It really is my favorite book of 2019. It's somewhat historical, it's magical, it's got a awesome black queen, and it's about crushing people. It involves strategy and plotting against each other, and it's about killing racists, so it's not to like. Seriously, read the book. Another book that I read and loved was 1984. I know a lot of people are rereading that right now when times seem incredibly uncertain. This is my second time reading it. Definitely did not take in everything I should have taken in when I read it in college. American politicians are quoting 1984 across both sides, liberal and Republican, and I just want you to read this just so that you can see how little sense American politicians make. I mean, if you haven't read it in the past like decade or two, you should check it out. And once you're done reading that, my final book for this video, The Age of Surveillance Capitalism. It is very big. I bought it in July on a whim, thinking that I would blow through it somehow. It has 3 parts and it's 550 pages with an additional 200 pages of indexes and notes. It took me 5 months to read. It took me 5 months to read it, not because it wasn't interesting. It's incredibly interesting. It's just that it is a very big book and hard to process. Shoshana Zuboff starts off the book by explaining how we got to the age of surveillance capitalism. And what I mean by that is the phenomenon you experience when you're talking to your friends about, say, Roombas, and then you go to your computer the next day and you're on some website, and on the side of that website is an ad for a Roomba. Or say like you and your friends are planning a backpacking trip and you're going over the plans in Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp or any of those, and you start discussing backpacks. And then all of a sudden at 2 a.m. when you're trying to kind of wind down and you're scrolling through your phone in your bed, and you see ads for camping backpacks, and you're like, I never searched for this. How did they know? This book explains how they know. So it talks a lot about Amazon, Google, Android phones, the Internet of Things, and how all of the different chat apps that we use are saving our data. It talks about big data. It demystifies a lot of things about social media and the internet and big data that you might have had questions about, but sort of just slated those as conspiracy theories. They're not conspiracy theories. And if you want to know more about it, you can check this out. I'm also thinking about doing a video that summarizes this book. I do social media for a living, so this is fascinating to me. So if you want me to do kind of a analysis or a review on any of the parts in this book, it's real big and it might take some time, but please let me know. So yeah, those are my favorite books of 2019. It's been a good year. According to Goodreads, I read 33 books. I'm pretty sure I read more than that, but I forgot what they were, so clearly it doesn't matter. I think in 2020, I'm gonna set my Goodreads goal to 55 books and see how that goes. I'm not quite sure what I'm reading next month. There will probably be a video. I am just now realizing that my genre is historical fantasy. That's cool. So yeah, those are my favorite books of 2019. Thank you for watching. If you have any recommendations, please leave them in the comments. And if you have a channel, let me know so I can go to your channel and I can follow you, you can follow me, and we can do fun stuff and we can talk about some of these books because that's why we're here. Cool. Dang, I didn't wear my glasses in this entire thing. That's why my eyes hurt. Yeah. Anyway, bye.